Newsflash, Elon Musk just launched his own political party.
Nobody cares, nobody cares, nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares, nobody cares, nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares. Nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
Nobody
Freaking
cares. Nobody cares.
From dark MAGA to dropout MAGA, Elon Musk demonstrates not only how erratic he is, but how absolutely unprincipled and disloyal he is.
Let's get ready to rumble! You can't handle the truth.
Hi, I'm Pastor Marty, and this is the Afternoon Drive. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel, and once you are, smack the bell, click the word all. That will give you notification of my rants, my ravings, my undeniably flawless reasonings. Please like and share this video. It's the only way that we can get the word out that we're here. Thank you so much for watching and being a part of the Afternoon Drive. Can we just say the quiet part out loud? That though Elon Musk has done a lot and achieved a lot of success, and, he took over Twitter, which he calls X, and, he sort of restored the Second Amendment and all the other things that, the First Amendment, as far as freedom of speech on his social media platform. Can I just say the quiet part out loud? He's kind of a geek. He's kind of awkward, and he is delusional. I mean, delusional to the point of insane if he thinks MAGA is going to follow him. I mean, this is where a mid-level manager of a corporation envisions himself becoming the CEO and taking it over. This is in the church world. This is like the youth pastor thinking he can pull a coup and hijack the church from the senior pastor. This shows a great level of disloyalty on Elon Musk's part. That Donald Trump gave him a seat at the table. He didn't have to be confirmed through any congressional oversight. He was given incredible responsibility, had all kinds of access that others only dream about. And he turns into Judas. Not a good look, Elon. Not a good look at all.
Your reaction to Elon Musk starting a third party?
I think it's ridiculous to start a third party. We have a tremendous success with the Republican Party. The Democrats have lost their way, but it's always been a two-party system. And I think starting a third party just adds to confusion. It really seems to have been developed for two parties. Third parties have never worked. So he can have fun with it, but I think it's ridiculous.
Look, we inherited a mess, and I'm not sure where all these deficit hawks were when Team Biden was blowing out the deficit. So last year was 6.7% of GDP, which was the highest it had been when we weren't in a recession, weren't at war. And as your previous guest said, we don't have a tax collection problem. We have a spending problem, and we're trying to get that under control. We are also trying to accelerate growth because changing the growth trajectory upward solves a lot of the deficit problem.
Now, I must say there is a little bit of hand-wringing on the conservative side because if Elon Musk follows through with this, he could siphon off just enough Republican votes that it would hurt the GOP going into the midterms, and it could actually be the catalyst that helps the Democratic Party. And right now, the Democratic Party is poised for the losses of which the political world in this country has never seen before. I mean, we are right on the cusp of Donald Trump and MAGA absolutely destroying the modern liberal democratic machine, forcing them to go into a total and complete rebuild after the midterms because the seismic shift that Donald Trump has created. However, let me just say a couple things here. If Elon thinks that all of these people that hated him, when he became MAGA and, started torching his dealerships and are now all of a sudden going to love him and go back to him, yeah, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. He's going to end up literally a guy without a country, let alone starting the America Party. Not bad for a guy who's not from here. But anyway, be that as it may, I'm not too shaken by this. And some commentators have already pointed out how erratic he can be. Well, that's the sign of an eccentric. There is no doubt that on the business level, Elon Musk has achieved some incredible things. The Tesla really making the electric vehicle a viable option for some people. It's still very expensive to buy and really expensive to replace the battery. But nonetheless, he got the conversation talking about electric vehicles. What he's done with the ability to re-land rockets and the Starlink communication. I mean, it's off the charts. It's unprecedented, and kudos and good for Elon. But he is a little eccentric, which means he's a little borderline crazy and incredibly narcissistic. And again, people who are world changers do tend to see themselves as literally like little demagogues and little gods and saviors of the planet, i.e., Bill Gates. These you've got Elon now that he's the only one that can fix politics by making sure we have a political party that's going to be rigid on spending. Okay. Remember now, this is a guy, what is he? He's got like 8 or 9 or 12 women that he's impregnated so that his seed can spread the land. I mean, MAGA was happy to have him during the election cycle because he was a bump and a boost. And what he was doing with Doge was very exciting in the beginning. But, when you deal with a borderline personality individual, you got to take on all the drama and the chaos and the crazy that comes with it. And here's the deal, though. Here's the deal. As the Treasury Secretary pointed out so eloquently, where were the Rand Pauls and even the Elon Musk when Joe Biden was running up the deficit? You didn't see any of these so-called fiscal hawks in Congress doing anything to try to stop the Joe Biden economy. They weren't grandstanding. They weren't trying to filibuster. They weren't, screaming from the housetops about the economic collapse that was coming because of the Joe Biden policies. But now they want to do it Donald Trump. And Elon voted for Joe Biden. I'm sorry, was that lost on a couple of you? Elon, the guy that says we've got to fix the economy, voted for the guy that destroyed the economy, Joe Biden. And as the Treasury Secretary points out, and I've talked to you before, and so those of you that watch this channel are well aware, Donald Trump has never had a problem with debts or deficit. This is how he ran his first administration. As long as the economy is growing and generating income and revenue, he's got no problem going into debt as long as you can, quote, make the payments. I mean, that's kind of the way Donald Trump is doing. He's thinking like a businessman. Do I spend my money to build this building, even if I've got it in the bank, or do I spend the bank's money to build this building? I can make the payments. And then I have my money to do the other things I want to do with. So that's how Donald Trump thinks. And as the Treasury Secretary pointed out, that under Trump, we are going to have this just incredible growth to our economy, that producing and paying is not going to be the problem. And as the economy grows, you will then see the so-called deficit shrink. But let's remember, we inherited quite a mess here. Money's got to be spent on infrastructure. We do have highways and bridges and airports and things around us that are literally crumbling into dust. Honestly, if you travel the interstates, you go through places that you swear you're in a foreign country. The border crisis, finishing the border wall, the underfunding of ICE, etc., etc., etc. All that has to be made up. And what Elon has really hacked about is two things. Number one, he lost all of the electric vehicle subsidies because Donald Trump has rolled those, they're gone. States and governors can't just decree that on 2029, no more gasoline vehicles will be sold in our state. You must have an electric vehicle. And Trump has said bull hock to all of that. This affects Elon's bottom line. He became the richest man on the planet, not because everybody ran out and bought Teslas, but because the government gave him money. And now that's gone. I believe I read somewhere that is 65% of his bottom line are the government contracts, and now they're gone. So he's upset with the big, beautiful bill because of that. Number two, remember he and Vivek Ramaswamy were under all kinds of hot water with MAGA over the H-1B1 visa program because we had to have these Indians come in here to run all of our tech and tech support, et cetera, because they were the best of the best and the brightest of the brightest. And Vivek, basically killed his political career when he said, Indian kids are smarter than American kids because they're not distracted, they're focused on education. Wow. Talk about committing political suicide. So obviously Elon is, as much as he wants to tout this, Donald Trump has betrayed you MAGA supporters on the economy. Well, Elon, the bigger issue with MAGA are illegal aliens. And you have betrayed MAGA on that front. And Donald Trump never promised to pay down the deficit. What he promised to do was get the economy rolling again, get goods and services affordable for people, lower interest rates, people could make more money, and they would be able to get themselves out of debt. They could be able to live the American dream. And he is delivering on all fronts. Again, there is always going to be deficit spending in Washington. And I've said this before. If you think the America Party, or any party for that matter, is going to roll out a policy of how all that stops and that ends, there literally will be food riots and riots in the streets because we will absolutely all go broke to pay for that. That was the issue with Ross Perot. He had some great ideas, but everybody would have gone bankrupt paying for them. So, Elon Musk is doing what he does. He's kind of, like the Asperger's autistic genius that he is. He's having his little flare up and his flare out. And my prediction is he will flame out. So relax, breathe, enjoy your summer, and just keep chalking up the wins that Donald Trump keeps delivering.